Camping's great. It gets us outside, away from civilization and technology. We get to reconnect with the nature. But will you really want to go camping after you hear these next stories? Because honestly, I don't think you will. A few years ago, I was camping in the Everglades in Florida with a few friends. We all had gone to our separate tents and were starting to fall asleep. The area was pretty noisy with bugs, crickets, and birds. I heard this very low vibration, sounding almost like a low roar. It was powerful enough to vibrate my chest. Suddenly, everything in the forest shut up. No bugs, no birds, nothing. And about 30 seconds later, my phone vibrates, and it's my friend in the other tent texting me if he heard the same thing. The four of us kept texting each other, wondering what it was. About 10 minutes later, all the animals slowly started making their noises again. I slept that night with my machete at arm's reach. This happened to me when I was little. I went camping with my older brother and my mum. I was about 7 or 8, and I went to bed around about 10 in a sleeping bag inside my tent with both my mum and my brother. Sometime during the night, I don't know when, I woke up somewhere in the middle of the woods, still in my sleeping bag. I had no idea where I was or where my tent was. I screamed to my mum and I heard her calling back to me in panic, but she was easily 100 yards away or so. So to this day, I still have no idea how I ended up in the middle of the woods, still inside my sleeping bag. This gives me the chills. A couple years ago, my brother bought a large piece of land out in the middle of nowhere, about 30 miles or so from cell phone reception. It's quiet and there's no light pollution, no paved roads, and not a lot of other people around. Shortly after we bought the place, the two of my brothers, the landowner and another, me, and our families spent a weekend camping on the land and doing our best to clean it up. People had used it as a dump, and there was many downed trees and etc. On the second night we camped there, I woke up in the middle of the night to take a leak. As I was walking down to the bushes in the dark, I realized that I could faintly hear music. This didn't strike me as odd because I knew my brother had a radio in his camper. I finished back up and went back to sleep, with no further thought on the matter. The next morning at breakfast, I mentioned the radio and the music. Several other people recalled walking the night and hearing music, but no two people heard the same song. Finally, the brother who brought the radio woke up. I asked him about the music and he seemed a bit freaked out. He woke up sometime during the night and went outside to smoke. He heard the music as well, and had assumed it was someone else. I should mention that he was the only one with a generator and a radio, so if it wasn't his radio we heard, it wasn't anyone else's either. I've been back several times, but I'm a bit freaked out by the place at night. I have fun while I'm there, but I'm almost always armed and I don't sleep in a tent anymore. I sleep in my SUV with the doors locked. It may seem kinda dumb, but realizing that everyone's heard different music when there are no people, no functional radios, and no electricity is quite creepy. I was on a camping trip with the Boy Scouts in 1975 or 1976, I can't really remember, in the Blackwater Forest in Florida. I woke up in the middle of the night to an eerie light filtering into the tent. I flipped open my tent flap to see the whole campsite flooded in a dull red light and coyotes howling in the distance. My tent mates were all gone, the other tents were empty. I was sure I had died and gone to hell. Scared as hell, I went back to my tent and laid there for a long time, practically paralyzed by fear. Eventually, my friends all came stumbling back into the camp from a nearby field, where the scoutmaster had taken them to watch the peak of the lunar eclipse. I got teased a lot for refusing to wake up and go with them when they tried to wake me up. Not necessarily camping, but in 1999 I was with some friends hunting deer. I had just seen the Blair Witch Project a few weeks earlier. We each headed to our stands in pitch dark around about 5:30 a.m. The woods were dead calm, no wind, no moon, and a light snow had fallen the night before. I mean, it was pitch black. I walked alone in the dark, and when I got about 20 yards from my stand, a deafening scream shattered the silence. Not just once, but it kept going. It sent shivers down my spine and almost shit myself. It sounded like a cross between a baby crying and someone slowly killing a poodle. And the screaming went on for what seemed like 15 minutes. I scrambled up the ladder to my stand and quickly loaded my gun. Finally, it stopped. I didn't get down all day. Later, I figured out it was probably a rabbit that got caught by an owl or a bobcat. It didn't matter. It scared the shit out of me nonetheless. When I was younger, probably like 10 or 11, I went camping with my family. I'll just get right into it. It was about 1 or 2 in the morning and I couldn't really sleep. The tent me and my brother were in was really hot and very uncomfortable. Anyway, while I was trying to get to bed, I heard a very faint whimper. I tried to ignore it because I figured I was just tired. Our campsite was along a road with many other camps nearby. The whimper started to get louder, and then turned into crying. I heard footsteps outside our tent, and a girl crying her eyes out. Now let me tell you, it didn't go faint, it got louder and louder. It remained in the same spot the entire time. That's important because it indicates that she was looking at our tent site, fucking crying. It gets worse. Then it turned into a full scream for a few seconds, then it cuts out. When she started screaming, my brother woke up. We both look at each other and we just get all the pillows and stuff and put them over our heads. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I'm just glad we left the next morning. Well guys, I don't know whether that puts you off camping or not, but I certainly don't want to go camping again. Like, fuck that, after hearing all that stuff. Either way, hope you did enjoy those stories, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like to let me know, subscribe to support this channel, and even share this video around, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
Already, already, already.